So, let's talk about our top 5 favorite shows.
Yes. Our top 5 favorite shows. We've been thinking about doing this one for a long time, trying to figure out how we wanted to go about it, and then we realized the podcast probably the best bet.
Well, in the midst of quarantine and watching shows for the first time, rewatching shows, introducing each other to shows, and honestly being bored, why not just talk about it for people to hear, and maybe they'll appreciate a really good show.
Yeah. And hopefully you guys have some of these on your list also. And if you don't, maybe check out some of these because they're pretty good shows. A lot of top shows, at least on my list.
Oh, definitely.
I can't wait to hear I think I know the order. No, I think I know what shows you have on your list. I don't know the order for your 2 through 5. Your number 1 I definitely know. But your 2 through 5 is like, I don't know what the order would be for it.
I mean, I want to say it depends on my mood, but it doesn't. Because these shows are like, no matter what mood I'm in, these are shows that I'm going to watch no matter what.
Yeah.
And that I've probably talked about way too often, way too much, but what can you do?
Well, for me, these shows, a lot of the shows that are on my list at least, are shows that I would rewatch, even just scenes on YouTube, or like I've probably rewatched these series multiple times over and over again. So I think we're gonna have a lot of similar shows on our list.
Possibly. Because it's the top 5, I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe some of them, at least one.
Yeah, definitely.
At least one.
I would say you go first because I obviously want to do my number 1 last. So.
Okay, so my number, we're gonna start 5 to 1.
And throw in an honorable mention.
Yeah, an honorable mention. We haven't told each other what our top 5s are. So my number 5 is the show Dexter.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched Dexter. I was late to the game when it came to Dexter. I think I told you this before.
Me too.
My cousin ended up showing me Dexter, and I fell in love with it. And we binged it pretty much season 1 to, I believe it's 7th season. Yeah, to the 7th season. And then we watched the episodes that were on at the time. And then, I loved it, Our actors. We have Michael C. Hall, Jennifer Carpenter, David Zayas, James Remar. Like, all of these guys were fire actors at the time. And, like, the show itself is... it's about what would you call it? His name is the main character's name is Dexter. He more or less is like a pretty chill guy, right? Would you say? He's
definitely chill, but
mild mannered.
He's not the protagonist by any means.
Well, he's the protagonist antagonist, where he technically is a bad person, but the things he's doing in his mind is right.
In the realm of a TV show.
Yeah.
He's not a horrible person because it's just fake.
Yeah. So he's a blood splatter analyst that it works for the Miami police, lives in Miami, so it's based in Miami. But at night he goes and kills people. He's a serial killer. But he kills only people who are murderers and like actual bad people. At least for most of the series. He kills people who are murderers.
Yeah.
Later on in the series, things happen that he may kill somebody who might get in his way or might harm what he's doing. And you see that he has an addiction to it, different things like that. Family comes into play. His own blood family and the family that he ends up building. Mm-hmm. What is it? Was it 8 seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say give or take.
I believe it was like 8 seasons. And yeah, that show was amazing. Like, up until the last season, I would say I loved that show. And then it just falls flat in the last season, but it doesn't take away from me
it's still
the show.
One of the most amazing shows ever made.
Best produced shows on Showtime. You could probably find it on Netflix, I believe.
Probably.
Prime, obviously Amazon Prime. Oh.
And Jax is awake.
All right.
In the background is Jax.
Yeah, our baby boy. He just woke up. Probably go back to sleep in a moment. That show is amazing. So, what about your number 5?
So my number 5 pick in my top 5 is Gilmore Girls.
Really?
Yeah, I mean...
That surprised me.
Gilmore Girls is one of those ultimate shows where it's a dramedy, but it's not too far on the drama side. It's just like a light drama, and you just enjoy it. It's sweet, it's wholesome. It has like one of the... Next to like Reba, it is
Reba's
one of
fire.
the best theme songs, like opening songs ever. So, I mean, you have to give it that. Rory and Lorelai are probably two of like the best mother-daughter duo, I would say. Just based on like how witty they are and fast talking. Like, obviously there are times that if you've watched the show that Rory is Rory and she's a little bit ridiculous, especially as she got older.
Also Lorelai is Lorelai.
Yeah,
they both were quirky, and the show is amazing. I remember watching that when I was younger, and then I remember when the new series, like the following series, came on Netflix, and you were watching that. That was pretty good too. Considering
that I only watched it about 2 years ago now, and I've seen it like 2.5 times. Like, obviously it's a great show. Yeah. And I really wish I watched it growing up because it's just so perfect.
I mean, growing up in a house full of women, that's all I watched.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, everybody loves Stars Hollow. Yeah. Everyone loves Jess. And
the writing is pretty, like, spectacular in it. Like, the character growth from when it starts to when it ends is amazing.
Not to mention how amazing Luke is and Lorelai. So
their relationship is like, as people say, goals.
Well, yeah, that is my number 5 pick.
All right. So my number 4 pick, it's actually gonna be something that I've been trying to get Key to watch for as long as we've known each other. Like, I've watched this show at least 4 times in completion, and I'm watching it again because it finally is on Netflix. My number 4 pick is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, it's not a live action show, but they are making it a live action show, and that show, as a child watching it, it just still holds up even as an adult. Like, has character growth. You see kids go from being super childish, stubborn, arrogant, to being loving and honest and honorable, which is it's a funny word to use for even the character Zuko, who chases honor throughout the whole show. It's a Nickelodeon show, but it has a lot of adult themes in it. Right now, you can stream it on Netflix to completion. It's a great show, and it's one of my top shows to watch.
I figured it would be on the list, but I still don't know if I'm really gonna watch it.
One day I will get you to watch it, and you'll see how amazing it is. It's funny because I struggled between that one and Dragon Ball. Yeah. And like, 'cause I love Dragon Ball Z a lot, but I just, as that show is just, it just has something to it that can match up with all the rest of my list that I will forever watch over and over again. And when Jackson gets older, I plan on showing him that list.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Or that show.
Yeah. So my number 4 pick is Misfits. Which, obviously, is like one of my favorite shows ever. Yeah. It's British. It's violent. It's superheroes. Kind of.
Well, we started that, and well, I didn't continue. I wanted to continue watching it. We will continue watching it. We'll get caught up with so many different shows.
Because you still, well, for anybody who doesn't watch British TV, it is the story of 4 juvenile delinquents, which is like the best way to explain them, who get caught in this storm while doing community service, and that storm gives them superpowers. And not only does it give people superpowers, it gives certain people like supervillain powers.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of based around that they killed their probation worker, without any spoilers. I mean, I'm pretty sure like anytime you read it, that's what they're gonna tell you.
Yeah.
It's based around that. But the 4 of them, Kelly, Simon, Curtis, and Alicia. The core 4, it gets crazy at the end. There's, people move on from the show, whatever. But the core 4 in the ultimate times, like I said, you don't know everything that happens.
Yeah.
But they're amazing. And it's something that, like, I will watch that show. I have it on Blu-ray. I will watch
She has the complete series. I remember seeing it. I was like, Jesus, is the big, like, I thought it was a book, and then on her shelf, and it's like, no, that's like all the DVDs for it. Yeah. And one day we'll get through them, and I'll watch it and probably enjoy every second of it.
That should have been a quarantine watch.
We don't know when quarantine's ending, so.
But it is also yet another really good theme song. I'm a fan of.
Oh yeah, that theme song is really like, it's up there with the Weeds theme song. Yeah. Everybody loves American Horror Story theme song.
Yeah. And I would call that one like a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's a dark. It has its funny moments, and it has its like actual really serious moments, and I'm very surprised on your list, but it makes sense because it is a very good show. The acting in this is amazing. Like, some of the actors you guys probably know, have seen them.
For my list personally, this list is curated according to what I rewatch over and over again in my downtime when I'm not like trying to catch up on shows or trying to catch up on movies. And I think that's the important thing.
Yeah. Is
shows that you're going to watch over and over again versus like, oh yeah, I watched that show, it was great, and I'm probably never going to watch it again. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why it has to be on the list. But what's your number 3?
So it's one of my shows that I've watched since the beginning. I've read the comics completely. I'm a like complete nerd over this show. I haven't watched the recent seasons because of where they've led the characters, but it's still a show that I know for a fact I will go back and watch completely, and I go back and watch scenes and episodes and everything from time to time. The Walking Dead is my 3rd choice. Now, I know I know what everybody's going to say. I know what Key's going to say. Oh, after this, when they're on the farm, it gets super bad. No. Literally, once they get off the farm and they get to the prison, and once they get to, like, past the governor, it turns into something completely different. It turns into what I loved from the comic books, reading those comic books. It's zombie apocalypse, but it's not about the zombies. It's not about the walkers. It's about human-to-human contact and bad humans, good humans, people treating people how they need to be treated, getting from place to place. Yeah, might be a big part of the story, but the relationships that are built in between that keep you like going. Like Rick being the main character in the show compared to in the comic books where his son's the main character. Like, him being the main character in the show, leading this group, and things getting so bad as to, like, him becoming a savage at one point. Him be just killing people and, like, making pretty crazy choices that kind of get his group in trouble a lot of times.
It's still just boring.
It's boring because of how many times they have different showrunners. And like they switch the story, and sometimes it doesn't catch. But the seasons that really grab you.
Yeah, but it's not consecutive in its greatness.
And that's, I feel like, maybe the problem that people it sucks because the parts that are great are amazing. I've had episodes where I've cried watching it. Like, I don't even want to spoil certain deaths for people who haven't watched it, but like later on, it's amazing. And when it gets to like it's getting closer to the end and the show's about to wrap up, one day I'll go back and finish it. But I know on my list, like, there's certain scenes that I go back and watch. Like, Rick is just a savage in season 4. And that's like right after the governor. And I'm like, one day, like whenever she sees scenes, Kiana's like, wow, that's crazy. But
I know that's an isolated scene.
But not even that. It's like, you know that it's gonna take you through season 2 to get to it. And outside of that, on my list, it is amazing.
I will always say that no matter how you cut it, they fell off after, like, during the governor situation. They picked back up with Negan and they fell off again. And that's just, it is what it is.
I don't agree, but hey, it's on my list. So, what's your next one?
My number 3 is absolutely Californication.
That was the one I was missing because I thought about it, and that makes sense.
Because Hank Moody is amazing. And I feel like this show obviously is definitely not for the faint of heart. Mm-hmm. It's not for everyone. Just based off the fact that, like, I think I showed you the pilot. Mm-hmm. You enjoyed it. But yeah, it was like a little out there.
It's a good show, but I just wished I watched it when it was on.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell it's one of those shows that would grab me if I actually sat and watched it. It's just, there's so many other shows.
But if you just sit down and watch it, it's a show that, because it's a 30-minute quick bite, especially in terms of how everything is like an hour now, with or without commercials, whatever the situation may be. And with it being a Showtime, which is like more of my thing, it's edgy. It's not really it's definitely not for kids. So it's more of my thing. I think it's amazing just because he's like a writer / alcoholic. And also, fun fact, one of the main characters, his agent and best friend, is in my top pick for my number 1 for this whole list. So that might be another reason why I'm so in love with this show, because it showed this person a different light. But anyway, just based off the love story between Hank Moody and Karen, no matter how crazy it got, it is some of the best writing. And as a fan of like beat writers and like Charles Bukowski, it was very interesting for the way that Hank Moody writes and the way that he acts in real life, obviously in the show. So it was just very good, and it's another show that, like I said, it endures for me to just be like, I'm gonna pop this on random and just probably watch the whole thing.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can get back to me watching that show and I can maybe feel how you feel about it. First episode I watched was pretty good. I think I just need the time to watch it because from what I know, it's a pretty long show. Mm-hmm. It was on for a while, so maybe I'll give it a chance and then we can watch it together and see how it go from there. But that's another. It's funny, your list. It's shows I know you love, but I'm not expecting it to be on your list.
Well, I think it's because, like I said, I went based off of like
shows you can rewatch.
For the rest of my life, I'm probably gonna be like, like as long as hopefully streaming services are around, even though we know where that's going, that I can be like, oh my gosh, that's on here. I'm watching the whole entire thing, which is why I want to say my honorable mention was so close to being on this list, but I am just in love with Gilmore Girls that much that it didn't make the list. But Californication is so close to number 1, and it's number 2 obviously, but the reason it's number 2 is just because it is purely my type of humor, my type of love story. It's just Hank Moody is my type of person. Okay,
well, we're gonna have to watch it.
Definitely.
All right, so my next pick, something we both love. I don't think it's on your list though. but it's a show we both love. I've watched it for now it would be 15 years.
Oh wait, sorry. Also, I just said Californication was my number 2. It's not. Obviously, that was number 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, you catch me.
I got you.
Everyone here can count, except for me.
Hey, it doesn't matter as long as it's listed.
Well, to be fair, it's because in the notes app, my number 1 I wrote first, which everyone who has an iPhone knows that it bolds it.
Yeah.
So
I wrote mine different, and it kind of confused me too.
But anyway, what's your number 2?
Okay. All right, so my number 2 is the show Supernatural. The reason it's Supernatural is amazing. Some people want to use the whole it's a CW show, it's very dramatic, it's a teen drama. It's like no,
it's amazing.
It's about 2 brothers, a family with their friends and everything. It begins with them doing monster hunts. They pretty much hunt like episodes, like what'd you call it?
Monster fight things. It's family business.
Yeah, and they do one. At first, it starts on a monster every episode for the first season.
Yeah, monster of the week.
Yeah, monster of the week type of thing. But then it goes more into, well, pretty much it's like their mom dies. They don't know how their mom dies. They don't know where their dad goes. And so they're on a hunt trying to find where their dad is. And they're trying to figure out how their mom dies. They figure it out. They figure out where their dad is. And it pretty much goes in depth with lore. So if you're into lore, that you're going to love this show. Because it goes into detail about different monsters, different family drama that they have. You meet so many of their friends and family friends. And you fall in love with them. And a running joke is that how often that they die and come back.
Yeah.
And
obviously, that's in my top 10.
Yeah.
Only reason it's not in my top 5 is because there are more than what I'm comfortable with season-wise that I don't love.
But
so I can't put that in my top 5 because if I'm doing a rewatch, there's 3 seasons I'm skipping.
But it's funny. And I agree with you. There are 3 seasons that are very skippable. But you want to know what's funny? There's 15 seasons. And out of that, I would rewatch all of those seasons. I would get through those 3 bad seasons to get back to the good seasons that they have. And with this show ending, I know for a fact when we finish it, I'm going to want to go back and rewatch all the old episodes. Yeah. Anytime it's on TV, I watch it. And it's become one of those shows that is just memorable. Like, you can quote these shows. We quote this show all the time. We have family and friends that love the show that we put onto the show. Mm-hmm. If you give it a chance, I think you will start to love it because the 2 brothers, they build as a character. As they get older, they become more mature. They become closer. They just grow on you to the point of where you start to love them as characters. Yeah. And anytime when it gets to the point where from the beginning they die, you're shocked, and then when they die later on in the middle of it, you're like, wow, well, they're gonna come back regardless. Yeah. And then later on when they start to die, it's like, well, no, this might be the time where they don't come back. Yeah. So with the ending, they've always say in the show that they want to die bloody. So I'm expecting the end to be dark in the way they need it to go. And
also, I would be horrible if I didn't mention that your number 2, which is Jared Padalecki playing Sam, is in my number 5.
Really?
Playing Dean.
Yeah, you're right. He is in that.
Which is amazing, even though, spoiler alert for a show that's 15.
Jared was in it too. Jensen was in it, right?
No. You're thinking of This Is Us.
You're right.
Milo.
Yeah, but Jensen's in something that I was thinking of. Whatever.
But yeah, it's funny because, spoiler alert, 15 years old, he's a cheater. So. Yeah. But it's very funny because Sam is...
Well, you have him. You have Jeffrey D. Morgan, who's in Walking Dead, which I love.
Yes.
He plays Negan in that. He's
just Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, he's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like, if you've seen him in anything, you know he's amazing.
Yeah, we're not talking movies, but Watchmen.
Amazing. He's amazing in that.
But no, okay, we can't get on movies.
Yeah, okay. So let's get back on topic. Maybe we can make another episode about movies.
My number 2.
Yeah, what's your number 2?
Is obviously Sons of Anarchy.
Oh my.
Obviously, if you know us, you know that that's where our son got his name from.
Yeah.
Jax Teller is not someone to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a very well played and awesome character. So yes, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't know. Jackson is named after Jax Teller.
Yes, he is.
Which is why his name's spelled with an X.
He's one of our favorite characters.
Yeah. We call him Jax, but we didn't want to put Jax on a birth certificate. It was a little short. So
we had to call him Jackson, which is totally fine.
But it's funny. Obviously, I turned on the show because, Charlie Hunnam is beautiful. But more importantly, Katie Seagal, which is Gemma, which Married with Children is one of my favorite shows that I watched when I was younger. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this woman's amazing. So I started watching it with a friend. I ended up, thank God for Netflix, binging the whole thing. And I think I was able to watch the last 2 seasons live. And, obviously, if you've watched the show, the second season in Ireland is it's not amazing like the rest of the show, but no matter what, it's amazing.
Honestly, if you haven't watched it, I've told her before when we rewatched it that we can skip the second season altogether. I mean, if you just want to watch it just for.
Only reason I would probably end up watching it is because it does set up some things for later.
Yeah, it does. It shows you certain characters that become important later on in the story.
Things like the IRA would be confusing.
Yeah.
If you don't watch it, for people who haven't seen it. But characters who aren't lovable, like Ron Perlman's Clay is not lovable. Tiggs is not lovable, but they're not horrible people. They just do horrible things.
Yes.
So I think Jax is sighing in the background. But I think that when you watch the show, there's also amazing relationship building.
Yeah.
Because depending on where you are, on what side of the fence you're on, Tara is not your favorite person, but the relationship between Jax and Tara... I literally
hated Tara the whole series.
But the relationship between Jax and Tara is, very much, I guess, what people would say, goals.
Yeah.
Because, especially when you see, at one point, I don't know if you remember this episode. This episode always pops in my mind because I always wanted to be there for Halloween at one point. But there is an episode where they're talking about Jax's father and Gemma, and they show this old picture of him sitting at the head of the table and Gemma with her hand. She's standing behind him with her hand over his chest.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on they show when Jax really, really takes over.
She does the same thing.
In the same pose.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
the foreshadowing, just the storytelling in the show is amazing.
It's amazing.
Kurt Sutter is an amazing writer when it comes to that, writing his characters and building them out.
And most importantly, it's one of those things where the villains are extreme villains because obviously for lack of a better expression, protagonist is not a straight-laced protagonist.
Yeah.
So the villains are a little more extreme. They are a little bit more annoying, but it's worth it.
So before you end, my number 1, and I'm going to say it now, is Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. It's crazy that it's not your number 1. But I think I know what your number 1 is. But
I'm sure you do. Wait, but you said your number 1.
I know, but we're already having a conversation about it, so we might as well.
Okay. So I guess you're throwing your honorable mention right after.
Yeah,
okay.
And then you can do yours beforehand, I guess.
And then I'll say my number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Sons of Anarchy is, because that's why I wasn't speaking much, because I really wanted to talk in depth about it. It's just one of those shows that the writing is amazing, the characters are amazing. You fall in love with characters, you hate characters. Some of the characters that you love in the beginning, you start to hate in the end, and some of the characters that you hate in the beginning, you start to love in the end. Like you spoke about Tig. Tig is not a character you hate in the beginning, and by the end of it, you love him.
And his relationship with Venus.
Yeah, his relationship with Venus, his relationship with the club, and like how he's just a loyal club member. Like no matter how bad somebody asks him to do something, he's gonna do it more or less because he's just loyal to the club. Juice, you go from loving him because he's like silly and stupid in the beginning to feeling sorry for him and kind of hating him at points because of the decisions he decides to make. Back and forth.
Also, before we wrap it up, too, is that we have to talk about the deaths in this show.
Oh my. Show, if you're into violent shows...
No spoilers.
No spoilers at all. But if you're into violent shows, this is one of the top violent shows I've ever watched. And it's not bad violence. It's like...
Well, the reason I brought the deaths, though, is because the deaths in this show obviously make you a little bit... For somebody like me who, like, obviously, like... I'm the type of person, like, it's just a show.
Yeah.
I don't get upset.
First show I ever cried watching.
This show, I had my moments like, oh man, like, on the inside, deep down somewhere, I'm upset.
Yeah, Kiana's not a crier. At least not when it comes to TV shows and fictional characters, where I'm very emotional when it comes to the characters I love.
Well, I know these people are okay.
Obviously in real life they're fine.
So it's hard for me to like cry over.
But then I know also I have three more seasons to watch, and that character's no longer on there, and now I have to deal with my favorite character being gone.
All I will say is there is a death in season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.
3. Yeah.
That is it's something.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the last season there's a death that...
Man, in the last...
Well, no, there's 2 deaths in the last season.
In the last 2 seasons.
Last 2, I think.
There are so many deaths of main characters that it makes Game of Thrones look silly.
Yeah, well, because you got so attached to them.
Because the story is what? Shakespearean type of story.
Yeah, it is based off of Hamlet.
Yeah, Hamlet. It's exactly Hamlet. There you go.
Yeah.
And... if you know the story of Hamlet, you know how dark it gets. You know how, this show...
Is it Hamlet or Othello? I want to say it's Hamlet.
I want to say Hamlet, but, maybe a mix of both.
Yeah.
But, it's just amazing. The acting is amazing. The directing is amazing. The writing is amazing. Like, it's a show you just get hooked on, and you're just like, all right, they'll take me on this ride. Especially, I was like you, where I watched the first season, it hooked me, and the show was still going on. I think it was maybe a season and a half left. So they had a whole full season or whatever, and then they had the half of that last season, and I binged it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This is high school Brandon, have nothing to do. Yeah. So I was able to enter into my summer. So I was able to binge it in 2 weeks and then watch the show.
Yeah.
And
lastly, though, I will say that the last season, the last 1.5 season of Sons of Anarchy was worth losing Charlie Hunnam as Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey. For anyone who doesn't know that. Oh my. So we could have had Charlie Hunnam as Christian Grey.
Yeah, she's...
But, saying goodbye to Jax Teller was more important, obviously.
I'm kind of glad he didn't do the movie, but...
I'm not. I'm so upset about it. I wish they would have just waited to put out the movies.
If he would have did it, would probably blown up, but bigger than what it was. But at the same time, whatever. He ended up doing it, and it put him in a space with me as one of my favorite actors. Yeah. Anytime, pretty much any movie that he's in, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna watch it, just because I know he's gonna be good in it at least.
Yeah. But it is before my number 1.
Oh, my time for my honorable mention?
I'll do my first.
Okay, yeah.
My honorable mention is Entourage.
I knew that. I knew that just off the fact that,
Thank
like,
God for Marky Mark.
how much you talk about that show.
So, once again, like, this is a show that I will watch over and over again. They don't really even have to be in chronological order to watch them, but why wouldn't you? Because, like, start from episode number 1. It's amazing. And anybody who's, like, a hip-hop fan should definitely watch this because there are so many rapper cameos in this show.
You've been trying to get me to watch this since we started dating. And
really
we watched the movie?
No.
We watched the show.
We watched the pilot. And you were pretty rude about it.
Was I?
And you were like on your phone, and I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Kiana likes to put she likes to make you watch things when you're not in that headspace.
We're not going to that right now. We're talking about the show. Quick synopsis is Vince, who is Adrian Grenade, for whoever doesn't know for some reason. He's basically an up-and-coming actor from New York. He brings his half-brother Drama, who is hilarious, Turtle, equally hilarious, and Eric, who is also his manager. But the whole running joke is that before this, the only thing he was ever a manager of is Sbarro.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that is the running joke. And of course, Jeremy Piven, who is one of my favorite actors, plays Ari Gold, who is his agent.
Is that where you got to start, or he just was already popular?
No. Jeremy Piven has been a big deal for a long time. Classic, he's a classic actor.
Oh, I don't know much about Jeremy Piven. Obviously, I don't know much.
Watch Mr. Suffrage. Anyway, Jeremy Piven is his agent, Ari Gold. It's hilarious. I would say it's a dramedy. It's on HBO, which, it's a little bit raunchy, which is more of my thing.
It's super her thing.
It's an adult show. But it's just pretty much the ups and downs of a young actor. And everything in between. It shows a little bit of the business. From the agent side, from Eric being his manager, from his brother being lower on the totem pole, still going on auditions, even though he's past the hump of, if you haven't made it at this point, you're not in it. But Drama will keep fighting, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's Entourage, man. Entourage is amazing. Just Vincent Chase.
You did show me the show, and I wasn't as interested as I probably would be, but like any of your other shows, I usually give them a chance again, so I'm sure you'll bring it back up. I think, don't you have that on DVD?
I do have it on DVD.
Yeah, so you never know. I might pop it in myself and watch it.
You should.
Isn't it on, HBO Max now, right?
Oh, you know what? You're right.
So
anybody who wants to watch it, go on HBO Max and watch it.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as honorable mentions go, I want to point out that Entourage obviously didn't make the list because Gilmore Girls, whatever, I explained that. But the reason why, if anyone's wondering why shows such as This Is Us or Euphoria aren't on my list personally, is because they're still going. There's still a story to be told. So I don't want to say yet that those are my favorite shows of all time. And even though they are up, right now, if we did a list that said our favorite shows at the moment, they would be number 1, number 2.
Yeah. This Is Us is definitely up there. I do feel that, before I get to my honorable mention, shows like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, yes, they are amazing. I love Breaking Bad.
They're our top 10, both of us.
Yeah, they're definitely on my top 10, but they don't break into my top 5s. Game of Thrones, specifically because it has moments where it's just
hard.
It's hard. It's hard to get through.
And like I said, it's not for me. It doesn't fit the criteria.
Yeah,
of,
it's not a show I would
gonna pop this on and watch.
Yeah, I'm not. I highly. There's not a show that I'm gonna go back and constantly rewatch. And then Breaking Bad, I've tried to rewatch Breaking Bad, but the beginning is slow, and it's hard to get to the point of like, all right, yeah, let's get to where Heisenberg's Heisenberg.
You want to get to like I Am the Danger.
Yeah, I want to get to. He's just f***ing up people, making a lot of money, and it's like I can go back and watch scenes from both shows, but it's not a show I'm just gonna be like, all right, let's go back and watch it. Maybe 10 years from now, 5 years from now, I'll go back and watch it. Day. Yeah, but I love those shows, but they're not in my top 5.
Yeah, but what is your honorable mention?
So my honorable mention is for anybody who is from the beginning days of CW, and like I tell Kiana, I'm gonna rewatch the show again because I watched it when I was younger, but as an adult I haven't. And it's the best Superman story you will ever get. Up until hopefully soon they start making another Man of Steel. But it's the best Superman show, best Superman story. Smallville.
I figured.
Is amazing. It has so many pitfalls. It has so many bad seasons, so many bad episodes, a lot of filler, but the nostalgia is all over it. Of me watching it, being a kid, I watched it started when I was like 5-6 years old, and loving it, and then watching it going for 10 seasons, which is unimaginable for a lot of shows. Most shows don't go for that long.
Oh, of course not.
And being one of the first DC shows that pretty much got Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, all these shows it's on, getting the DC EU to be a thing. Like, Smallville's the stepping stone to get there. Mm-hmm. And it shows you how to really make Superman, like, relatable. It shows you from him being in high school to him actually getting the cape and flying and whooping ass. It's just like you love his friends, you love him as a character. Tom Welling does an amazing job with him. Mark Rosenbaum, I think that's his name. He plays Lex Luthor. He does an amazing job playing him. And like for me, one day, like it's 10 seasons all on Hulu. One day I'm gonna go back and watch all of them and see if it actually holds up. But from nostalgia and me watching scenes, when I go back on YouTube, I'm always like trying to watch them. Like I remember watching with my brother every week, being literally like, all right, this is where it's gonna it's about to get crazy here. And then next week they'll have a filler episode, and you're like, oh well, okay.
CW.
That's CW 2000s CW, early 2000s CW. But yeah, that's my honorable mention, and hopefully one day I'll watch it with you. Maybe. What's your number one?
Time for number one.
Kiana's number one.
Anybody who knows me knows number one is gonna be Sex in the City.
I've watched 75% of the show.
Yeah.
I've watched all of the movies.
It's 2.
Yeah, all the movies that they're probably gonna get, since they're probably not gonna make another one.
Sadness.
Yeah, but that show's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's crazy I didn't watch it.
It's sad you didn't watch it. It's sad that my first introduction to it, obviously because of age, was on E.
It's funny that most of your list are shows you watched when you probably shouldn't have been watching them.
Yeah, it really wasn't appropriate.
But you, for somehow, some way, watched them. And Sex and the City is definitely a show no child should be watching. But
I will say, I know that there is a lot of later on 2020 mindset controversy.
Yeah.
That, because they're for privileged white women, whatever. We're a make-believe world. I'm enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah, it's... with all the drama that comes in the behind the scenes and how everybody feels about it, the show itself still is amazing. It takes a woman from being a single woman in New York City, building her career, and then falling in love with a man who's amazing also.
People are gonna come for you.
I know, but guess what? What's the guy you love so much?
It's a tie.
No, I know you love Big, but
I love Aiden Shaw.
Aiden is not it. And no matter how many times we watch the show, she puts it on, whatever. I remember we first got together and you showed me the show, and I was like, I'm not gonna get into this. And then I met Big, and he was me, and I was like,
you're not Big. Don't say that.
Big in the way when
he's
he's
on like
two wives. Not in that way, but in the way of like he's people don't list the things that he does that are romantic. Yeah. That he is an idiot at times, and he doesn't. But the same way that she's an idiot, where they just don't. They act like they can't mesh, and then when it comes down to it, it's like no, they're the best couple in the show almost. Yeah. Next to what's my boy name?
Of course, Harry and Charlotte.
No.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about Samantha?
Skinner? No, what's his name?
Skinner.
That's Skinner. That's not his name.
Are you talking about Samantha and Smith?
No. The only other couple, the guy with the glasses, firefighter.
Oh my God, Stephen Miranda. How could I ever forget Stephen Miranda?
Is that his name?
Yeah, Steve.
Oh yeah, it is Steve. Why is he Skinner?
I don't know. That's
whatever.
Horrible. And I feel horrible for forgetting them because Steve is like another Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
The Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
Because Miranda sucks.
In the beginning she sucks so hard, and then here
comes Steve saving the day.
Yeah, he comes through, and their relationship is like a roller coaster.
But I won't let you. I'm sorry. At this point, Sex and the City has been on for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and
You guys can forget about the spoilers and everything else.
Smith Jarrett is amazing. He stood by Samantha when she was like, oh, you're just a young boy, I don't want you, and literally like went upstairs and like almost slept with an ex, and he stayed downstairs like, I just want to make sure you get so funny home safely.
That where you're talking about is like right where we stopped from me watching, but I've already been spoiled on what happens.
Yeah. And not to mention Smith stands by her when she's sick, and all these things in solidarity with her, and she was having such a hard time with it. And also, anyone else who doesn't know, Samantha Jones is the reason why I have a degree in public relations.
Yeah.
It's because I watch Sex and the City probably in its entirety once a year.
Yeah, literally she will have, since we've like started dating, we've watched it multiple times, and she'll finish it without me because like I'll be going, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch this, I'm gonna do this, and she'll continue watching the show when I'm not paying attention.
But yes, I will say, back to our earlier conversation here about Aiden and Big, I didn't dislike Aiden until he took Carrie back for going, having an affair with Big.
Yeah.
But he didn't forgive her. And that is a problem in my book, so that had to give him the axe.
Hey, man. Big is big. That man got money. He takes care of her when he needs to take care of her. Yeah, he's an idiot, makes dumb decisions, but
he's always there.
He's always there.
I want to shout out 2 of my favorite episodes from there, because if you don't talk about it, it doesn't matter. Number 1 favorite episode would probably... Oh, no, wait. Before I do that, can we talk about anybody who sees this, whatever, comment, tweet me, hit me up, text me if you know me.
Oh, dude.
Alexander Petrovsky was a horrible storyline and a waste of my time. I know it was probably to get Carrie to Paris so that way Big can go there and run after her.
But it is a waste of time.
It's horrible because he was a horrible person.
And you warned me ahead of time, like, yo, this is gonna be bad.
He's horrible. But I would say my 2 favorite episodes has to be obviously the last episode when Big goes to her and says, Carrie, you're the one. You've always been the one. Beautiful. And I would say the other best episode has got to be when Harry and Charlotte, between when Harry and Charlotte end up getting married, or when Miranda cheats on Blair Underwood to get back with Steve. And although I would say, like, what the heck, who cheats on Blair Underwood? whatever. Steve is amazing. So I support that relationship.
You know what's funny? There's so many episodes that come to mind. I don't want to say I have like a favorite one. Mm-hmm. There's an episode where Samantha has a neighbor that they can see having sex.
Oh,
it's hilarious.
It's very funny, and they're all like eating gummy bears and watching.
You know what's funny? A lot of the times, this show is so advanced and way ahead of its time definitely. When it comes to sex and talking about it, because there's things they talk about that I would have never thought they would talk about in the 90s.
Yeah.
And they talk about them, and I'm like,
early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s, and or like they talk about sex toys, and like first off in a cafe at that. Yeah, super loud.
They were a little extra with that.
But like in the 90s, I feel like that never would have happened compared to like now. Maybe like, you know, group of black women would talk about it or something like that. And then but like,
I think one of the most important things too was like the solidarity between the four of them. Yeah, they got in fights. They didn't agree. Charlotte and Samantha were very different people. Miranda was, you know. Miranda went through her times where she was like, why are we always talking about men, blah, blah, blah. But they also talked about a lot of things, like Charlotte miscarrying, her watching the Liz Taylor doc, and just, you know, not a documentary, but E! True Hollywood Story, and then, like, having the courage to go to Miranda's son's birthday party. Episodes like that were crazy, but obviously, just to wrap it up, the reason why it's one of my favorite shows, a lot like Californication, is that inner monologue. Carrie's writing is amazing. As somebody who like loves to write, it's just really good. But
it's also like I was gonna bring up before we end, ahead of its time, even with gays and like what's the guy's Stanford. Their relationship with what's his husband's name?
Who's? Oh, I mean, but that's in, like, the movies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's later in the movies, which is crazy because I don't even know a show, outside of maybe Entourage, that led from a show to talk about that. Going into the movies. And then, so one movie's amazing. Second movie is silly, but it's good.
Because it wrapped up a storyline that was really important. For everyone who doesn't know, it wraps up, like, the Aiden situation.
Yeah, and both the shows and the movies build up the characters very well. It surprised me when we first watched it. It really surprised. I thought it was going to be so. What's the word to say?
Kind of like more girly.
Yeah, I didn't know what the show was truly about before I watched it, because growing up, it always seemed like, oh yeah, the show is like super girly or whatever. Yeah. But then I watched it, I'm like, no, it's character building. There's like it kind of shows the differences like between the 90s men and like nowadays, you know, and like 90s women and nowadays, and how they did things and what they talked about, and how, you know, like it's a good show. It's a great show. And then I have always knew that we always talk about how that's your number one show. You put it on all the time. Whenever you have nothing to watch, that's what you're putting on.
My ending quote in this conversation is, made a pact a long time ago. What? Men, children, whatever, we're always each other's soulmates. Yeah. That's the best quote ever, because that's the best show ever.
Yeah.
No matter what. And we'll talk about movies at a later time.
Yeah.
But Sex and the City is amazing.
Yeah. And I've watched damn near every episode with you. So yeah. So that's our top fives. I'm sure there's other shows that I could put in my top 5.
Yeah.
But
you know, there's always our top 10.
Yeah.
You know.
And maybe at a later date we'll give you guys the 5 through 10. But
yeah, which would be weird, but
yeah,
you know, why not?
I mean, it's our show. We can do whatever we want. But yeah, no. That's our top 5. I think I'm happy with mine. You happy with yours?
Oh, immensely so. Immensely.
Yeah. I think we're gonna put some Avatar, The Last Airbender on and enjoy that while you go to sleep.
I'm going to sleep.
All right, guys. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.